Hey everybody, hope you guys have had a great week. It is Monday night and I wanted to come in and talk about everything that I read last week and also share with you guys a couple of packages that I got in the mail. I've got 2 packages from Barnes & Noble because I ordered a couple of books when they were doing their like 50% off and extra, stamps or whatever for Labor Day weekend. And those arrived today. And then I got in the mail over the weekend my package that I ordered from Anne's shop. Anne from In Search of Wonder has an Etsy shop. I will put the link in the description box. And she has a bunch of like blind date with a book options on there. And so I ordered one. I was so excited to get it. I've never had a blind date with a book before. And so I ended up ordering from Anne because she's my friend and I want to support her shop. But on top of that, I watch her channel a lot. I have an idea of kind of what she would consider as, a good read or a clean read or whatever. And on her description, she said it was a clean Christian book. So I was like, all right, well, I know that Anne's definition of clean is pretty close to my definition of clean, so I feel comfortable buying this book. Anyway, if you're interested in getting a blind date with a book, go and check out Anne's Etsy shop. She's got some really pretty little packages in there that she has made up. They are really great gift ideas, which brings me to something I would like to put together a video featuring different bookish gift ideas, for the upcoming season. So if you have a shop, if you sell something that can be purchased online that is book related, accessories or whatever, or if you know somebody or have a favorite shop or whatever, somebody that you would like to have promoted, let me know. You guys can send me an email my email's down in the description box, or you can just put it in the comments. And I'm gonna put together like a, holiday shopping guide thing for people who are interested in buying bookish gifts for bookish people. So because it's what I'm most excited about, I would like to start off with Anne's package. And I'm gonna open this up and you guys can see what is here right along with me. Okay, so she's wrapped everything really nicely in brown paper here. And then she sent a card with a sticker on the back, like a sticker for me to keep. And then this is what the package looks like. So this little sticker says, "Let life surprise you." And then there's another, all of these stickers are like, they still have the backing on them, right? So I can use them. There's a magnetic bookmark here and a little clip there. And then she's got it all decorated with pretty butterflies and some black flowers and leaves. And then the tag says, "A tale of redemption and forgiveness, Christian fiction, my rating 4 stars." If I remember right, I think this was described as like a suspenseful book. So let's see what it is. I'm gonna cut the back here so that I don't lose all the pretty on the front. I'm really sentimental. Okay. Ooh, oh, I've never even heard of this book. In Search of Eden by Linda Nichols. Oh, and she's put a pretty bookmark inside. And a little note inside as well. It says, "I am so sad this author is no longer writing. I've read all her books and loved them." I can't believe I've never heard of Linda Nichols, so this is gonna be such a treat. All right, so it does look like kind of a suspense mystery type story. It says, "A fractured heart, a hope renewed." And then there's a quote from the book. "Today is your birthday. I want you to know that you are in my heart, as you always have been. I pray for you every day. I pray I did the right thing." Thus wrote Miranda de Spain on the anniversary of the day that changed her life forever, the day her heart was torn in pieces. Ever since that wrenching event, she's been unable to settle down and embrace life. She finds herself starting one adventure after another, trying to forget, but she never can. As she approaches her 27th birthday, she determines once again to reinvent her circumstances, to start anew. But there's one loose end to tie up first. Joseph North, chief of police in Abingdon, Virginia, has always tried to do what is right, to perform his duty and protect those he loves. He is suspicious of the new woman in town, and checking further, discovers that she is a person with seemingly no history. Then he finds a baby picture of his niece in her possession. A story of law and grace, of forgiveness and redemption, of finding joy and rest in a broken world. This is going to be good. I'm really excited to read this. Thank you, Anne. Okay, that's really fun, and I think I'm probably going to be like Anne's obnoxious customer. Because that's just so much fun, right? To like get a book, you know, just to have a surprise like that from somebody that you know is gonna not send you something super weird, right? All right, so let's look at my Barnes & Noble purchases, which won't be quite as surprising because I know what they are, right? This one is I think I talked to you guys about the fact that I wanted to get this. So in my last reading wrap up, I was telling you guys about the book Mrs. Christie, The Mystery of Mrs. Christie by Marie Benedict. Well, oh wait, this isn't, hold on. I'm leading up to the wrong book. Okay, anyway, The Mystery of Mrs. Christie by Marie Benedict, and loved it and wanted to read some more by her. Well, I actually talked about this book also. Sometime in the last few months, I have done a tag or something that asked what book, I think it was like the mid-year freak out tag maybe, and it asked what book like are you looking forward to, and I said this one, and ta-da, here it is. So this one is called The Queens of Crime by Marie Benedict, and this one features Agatha Christie, Dorothy Sayers, Marjorie Allingham, Baroness Emma Orczy, which wrote The Scarlet Pimpernel, and is it Ngaio Marsh, who I've read the name but never read anything by. And they all band together to form a secret society to show they are no longer willing to be treated as second-class citizens by their male counterparts in the legendary detection club. So I don't know. It's a fictional story, I think, and that's gonna be really fun. So I like this author, and I really like, you know, what I read by her. It looks like this one is probably kind of in the same structure as far as having really short chapters that are all they're all dated. I feel like I run through a book like that really quickly when it's just like each chapter is a new day and they're going really fast. I don't know, it's just something it does to me psychologically, but I just want to. So I said in my September, you know, TBR video how I have all these plans and I might just ditch them all for mood reading. Now that I've got these in the mail, yeah, I don't know. Okay, anyway, the second book that I picked up from Barnes & Noble is the autobiography that Agatha Christie wrote. I really think that I have read this like really long time ago, so I don't remember a whole lot. But after reading the book Mrs. Christie that told a fictionalized story of Agatha's disappearance, I would like to read her biography again. Now, as far as I know and remember, and actually someone has just recently mentioned, I think I read on Goodreads, she doesn't actually talk about that anywhere. Those 11 days of her disappearance, she just never talks about it, like it never happened. It's like the biggest mystery, right, of the time, real life mystery, but she never mentions it. So I don't think we're gonna get much information on that from her autobiography, but I would like to see if the personality that Marie Benedict gave to Agatha and her husband Archie, if they are similar to what she wrote, where she sort of got the idea for some of the stuff that's in that fictional story, and just get kind of a feel for Agatha's life in that early time, right? And then again later on. I did read sometime in this year, I read Come Tell Me How You Live. It's a short kind of memoir that Agatha wrote about just a short time, maybe even just a year, that she and her husband were in the Middle East. Ooh, I don't remember very well, and just kind of their experiences there. And so it gave a feel sort of the kind of person that she was, personality she had, and that sort of thing. I really liked that. So yeah, I'm gonna look forward to reading this, but I don't know when, because I already have all my September TBR planned, and I have my Gothic October plans for next month. So should we have Agatha November? Maybe. All right, so let's talk about the stuff that I've read in the last week. I have here 4 books, and then my little Anne of Green Gables devotional. I've been going through this. I've only done a couple of them, and I like it. It's really sweet. It's very simple, but you know, great. I think I just needed something that was kind of gentle. I've spent the last 5 or 6 years just doing like massive biblical deep dives, and I just kind of wanted to go back to something just simple and just like simple truths, right? Simple, universal biblical truths nobody can argue about. And so I've done a couple of them and enjoyed them. So far, the scriptures that the author is using here have been in Psalms and Proverbs, but it looks like there are other books mentioned also. And then it'll start off with a quote from the book. And it may even, I'm not sure if the whole book goes in order with Anne's story, but the first 2 are in order. So yeah, I'm really liking it. It's been a fun, just like little morning, gentle morning thing to do a couple times this week. And I have a journal devoted to it, and I always put like a pretty sticker. You guys saw my stickers in my last video. I always put a pretty sticker to start it off with, and I'm just making it kind of a special, like, low pressure thing. So I'm enjoying that. All right, and then the first thing that I finished in the past week, since I've last talked to you guys about my reading, is this book called Wild: Tales from Early Medieval Britain by Amy Jeffs. I first heard about this book on Ruby Granger's channel. She was mentioning different books that she had been reading. This is one of them. This is a book of stories that have sort of been Frankensteined from different mythologies during early medieval times and earlier. It looks like the author has taken stories that she has found from Britain, and in some cases she has combined like a couple of different folklore stories. And in some cases, she's combined a medieval era story with something more ancient and has rewritten them. And so the chapters will start out with her little story. And then it will go into her explaining where that story came from, what were the original, sources, and kind of how that story fits in with the theme of this book, which is kind of like foresty, different things in nature regarding Britain. So the different chapter titles all have to do with nature. You've got earth, ocean, forest, beast, fen, catastrophe, paradise. And so that she'll just kind of give a lot of like historical information to explain the story, where she thinks it might have come from, and that kind of thing. And then she also has these wood engravings. So you can see on the cover her wood engravings, and then each story will start off with a wood engraving. And she does these. This is like her artistic talent, is making these really neat wood engravings. And so it's just a really neat concept for a book, a really clever concept, and super talented, author and artist. And I think she has a few others in this series also. So yeah, I'm really interested in finding some more of her books and reading these tales. I like folklore, as long as it doesn't get too weird, right? But I do like folklore. All right, and then I ended up just getting Persuasion out and reading it. So in my September TBR video, I did talk about how this is the read for Anne's Jane Austen challenge this month, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get to it because I had so many other things. I just really wasn't feeling it at the moment, and I was like, at this point I don't think I'm gonna. And then like the next day I was just like, I want to read Persuasion. So I got it out and I did read it. I actually read it in just a couple of days, which usually I take a little longer with Jane Austen and just take my time, but I just started reading and just kept on reading. So I really enjoyed it. I hadn't read this since like the summer of 2013. And so like I knew the basic gist of the story, but you know, all the emotional things and just the extras and the little things that you catch and all that, like I didn't remember any of that stuff. And so I just loved it. Like I have moved Persuasion up. It has gone up to my number 3 favorite. And honestly, it probably is my number 2 favorite after Pride and Prejudice, but I do kind of still have some like sentimentality about Northanger Abbey and how Catherine reminds me of my daughter and all that. So I have to leave it in number 2 for a little while longer, but this is definitely number 3 now. And that did surprise me. I didn't remember liking it as much. And now I just really, really, really liked it. A couple places where I tabbed, I liked, this made me want to research. So she says, her pleasure in the walk must arise from repeating to herself some few of the 1,000 poetical descriptions extant of autumn, that season of peculiar and inexhaustible influence on the mind of taste and tenderness, that season which has drawn from every poet worthy of being read some attempt at description or some lines of feeling. And so the implication here is that there are tons and tons and thousands of poems out there about autumn that are Jane Austen era and before. And I'm like, well, I wasn't aware of that. So now I want to go find all those poems. This is a good book to read in the autumn. A lot of it takes place in autumn. Another quote that I loved, her spirits wanted the solitude and silence which only numbers could give. You know, because this quote is like, sometimes the solitude and silence that you are craving is only found when there is noise and busyness going on all around you. But sometimes it's too much to be alone in the quiet with your own thoughts, right? Sometimes sometimes the act of tuning things out actually helps us focus. And that sounds, you know, contradictory, but I think, you know, you guys probably know what I mean. I've probably been there before. Sometimes you do just want real silence, but sometimes you kind of need to be in a crowd to be able to think. And I think, you know, that's one reason why maybe we go to, you know, the coffee shop to write, or go to the mall to sit on the bench and think, or something like that, right? People watch as we're working out thoughts. The kind of solitude and silence which only numbers could give. I like that. And then finally, I feel like I got a little reprimanded and a little bit of an answer to a question I have had for quite a while. So it's kind of bugged me that we read like every single word that she ever wrote on every single scrap of paper that she ever touched, and we're just obsessive. It seems kind of obsessive. Now, I'm just as guilty, right? If I got a hold of, you know, another letter or a piece of writing by Jane Austen that, you know, we suddenly realize, you know, we've never seen before or something, I would want to read it. I'd be very curious. However, this last summer, as I was reading through different things that I don't think she ever meant to have published, you know, things like possibly Lady Susan, but, you know, Leslie Castle and, you know, the Watsons, or just some of the things that are just partial, right? Some of her partial writings, and just, you know, even the letters are just a partial collection because we know that so many were destroyed. And as I was reading through those things, I was kind of like, how would she feel about this? Like, how would I feel about this? I would have a real problem with somebody doing this. And so it kind of has bugged me, and I've kind of wondered if maybe, like, if I really care about Jane Austen, I would respect her privacy. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too whatever with that, but I'm saying all that to say, here, I think she gives us a bit of a reprimand because she's talking about how she saw someone's letter, right? Yeah. So Anna's talking about how she read a letter that exposed some information that was going to have some consequences. And then it says, Anne could not immediately get over the shock and mortification of finding such words applied in the letter. You'll have to read it, I don't want to leave a spoiler. She was obliged to recollect that her seeing the letter was a violation of the laws of honor, that no one ought to be judged or to be known by such testimonies, that no private correspondence could bear the eye of others, before she could recover calmness enough to return the letter which she had been meditating over and say, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, she's basically saying, we shouldn't judge people by the content of their private correspondence. Because I'll tell you what, my perspective of Jane Austen definitely changed when I read her private correspondence. She's brutal. But it was between her and her sister, which she didn't expect the entire universe was going to be reading for the next 250 years. On one hand, it's kind of like, well, I guess you shouldn't have wrote that down. On the other hand, it's like, can't a person have some privacy? Will I read Jane Austen's further letters? Probably eventually. I'll probably get over it and stop being so sentimental and just read them. But probably not without a little bit of guilt, if not a lot. It's definitely made me think about like what I put into writing. When I write out my journals, I write thinking in the back of my head, somebody's going to read this someday, and this is how I'm going to be remembered. So unless I'm planning on burning this, but then I can't predict when I'm, going to pass away, I probably just need to be careful. So I don't actually pour out every single thought into my journals, because there's certain things I just don't want to be remembered by. Right, and then I got Emma M. Lyon number 6 in the mail and promptly devoured it. And I did enjoy it, not as much as the others. For this one, she leaves us on a pretty significant cliffhanger, which is fine. That's not why I didn't enjoy it. It just was a little too like vaudeville, like slapstick comedy, right? There was just too many scenes that were supposed to be funny, but they were so outrageous that you're like, really? Is all these things really happening to her? Wow, she just lives a pretty wild life. And it's just kind of one of those like, there was too much of that and not enough development in the storyline. When we got to the end of the book, it was like not a whole lot had happened. I don't think this is a spoiler, but from the very beginning of the book, we're waiting for her to come into her majority, right? She turns 21. She's no longer a minor. She's in charge of her own finances and, property and all that sort of thing. And I guess just because she mentioned it so often in the previous 5 books, I guess I felt like a bigger deal would have been made of it when it finally happened. And it kind of wasn't. It was just sort of like a side story. Like, well, 21 now, moving on. Like there was a couple of things that sort of spoke to it, but for the most part, it really just didn't end up being as big of a deal as I expected it to. So that was kind of weird. But this author definitely moves slow, that is for sure. Some of the things that we've kind of been waiting to, have some resolution on or some change on, not a whole lot. It's kind of like what I said about the Mr. Darcy and Miss Tilney mysteries that I've been reading. I'm enjoying the story, but kind of getting to the point where I'm like, if this doesn't start moving along, like these side stories that have been created and have been, a part of book after book, if they don't move along here pretty soon, then I can't say I'm gonna stop reading, but I don't think I'm gonna quite love it as much. Like I ended up only giving this one 3 stars, and I've been giving all the rest of them 5. So yeah. I probably won't buy another Emma this month. My birthday is next month, so I'll probably put on my birthday list to get, I'm on 7 now. I need 7, 8, and is there a 9? Is 9 out yet? I haven't really looked. So yeah, I'm on 7 now, so probably put on my birthday list and see if somebody wants to get it for me. Like, hint, hint, husband. I'm collecting the hardbacks, and so they're pretty spendy, but I do like the hardbacks. I like the picture on the front, and I don't know, I prefer to have the hardback. So I've had to just try to get 1, maybe 2 a month, because they're like $25 a piece, and I don't know, that's just a lot to spend on a book. I do feel like since I'm going to be keeping them in my collection, it's probably okay, but it's gonna be a pretty spendy collection once I get all done. So, but honestly, kudos to the author for charging a fair price for her work, right? That's smart, and to do it all like in-home publishing and the whole thing, like pretty impressive actually. All right, and then finally last night I finished Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. by Robert Louis Stevenson. Actually, I think I finished this yesterday afternoon. It didn't take very long. Obviously, it's a tiny little book. But I had never read this before. And I liked it, actually. And the only reason that I'm kind of surprised by that is because I really don't like Treasure Island. I still can't finish that book. But this is nothing like Treasure Island, very different. And I do wish that I could have read this without knowing, you know, what the secret is of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I wish I could have read it how the Victorians would have read it. And I wonder if I would have figured it out before, you know, the mystery was revealed. And I think that if I could put myself in that place of someone who is coming to this story for the first time and, you know, is not distracted with all of the things that I'm distracted by in the world and just, you know, living a more quiet life and a more gentle sort of naive sort of life, maybe. I don't know if they were that naive, but I think that I really would have thought this was a fantastically thrilling story. You know, just knowing what the mystery is, and now that there have been so many stories written on kind of that same trope, it's not hard to figure out, you know, early on what the mystery is of this story. So, you know, because of that, I didn't totally like adore it because I had it all figured out, but I could see how this could just be a really great, I almost just wish that he would have developed it into a full story. The way that this is told is you get kind of the outside perspective of the entire story of what happens here, what the mystery is, and, you know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, what they do, whatever. And then at the end, you get Jekyll explaining everything. And he goes back and just kind of like fills in the blanks for you. It has to be written that way so that you can be surprised with the big reveal, you know, that happens right before Jekyll starts explaining everything. And so I understand that, why it was written that way. But, you know, knowing the story all that ready wasn't quite that impactful. But I feel like if he would have developed this story out into a full-length novel, I just wonder if there could have been a sense of suspense for more modern readers. This copy is only 97 pages long, so not a very long story. I kind of like got a, you know, Conan Doyle sort of vibe, even Nathaniel Hawthorne in some cases. So I did enjoy it, and I think that it's probably one that I will read again. And so I am a little surprised because I have avoided that story for so long because I'm like, ugh, if it's anything like Treasure Island, I know I can't even do 10 pages of that. But it wasn't. It was really good. All right, so that's everything that I've read. What I'm currently reading, I'm reading Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This is the story of Shakespeare's son. I don't think that Shakespeare is actually named, but like, it's obviously Shakespeare. I'm almost 40 pages in. I'm liking it okay. It's a little bit, it looks like the book is actually a little bit more about the plague and not so much about Shakespeare. And that's always interested me, fictional stories about the plague. So I'm giving it a try, but I do wish it was moving a little quicker. But that might just be me and my own like impatience and desire to maybe read something else. So we'll see. I'm also kind of going through this fun little graphic novel called Book Love. It's got these really cute like little comic illustrations, and it's all about reading and love for books. And then the other two books that I have here kind of on my tentative TBR for the next couple of days are Passing by Nella Larson, and then my children's classic read for the month, and that's Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. So these are the things that I'm hoping to get through in the next couple of days. And yeah, that's probably about it. I hope everybody's doing really good, having a great day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.